Last week, a woman sent me a message. She said, Krista, I don't know who to trust anymore. 3 doctors, 4 diets, 2 trainers, more supplements than she could count. And somehow she was more confused than when she started. And maybe you felt that way too. One expert says one thing, another says the exact opposite. Your doctor says you're fine, but you don't feel fine. You've listened to all the podcasts, you've read all the books, you followed all the experts. And instead of clarity, you've ended up overwhelmed. What if the problem isn't that there are no answers? What if the problem is that you've been listening to everyone except the one who created you? Today, we're talking about how to hear God's voice in your health journey when everyone else seems to be shouting over him. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Krista Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. All right, my friends, welcome back to the Strength for Generations podcast. I'm your host, Krista Baker. And if while you're listening today, you find yourself thinking, wow, this is exactly where I am, send me a message on Instagram at Baker Family Fitness, or you can find me on Facebook under Krista Baker. Just tell me what resonated with you. I personally read every message, and I'd love to hear your story. Now, let's jump into today's episode. That message I mentioned earlier absolutely breaks my heart because she wasn't really asking about food. She wasn't really asking about exercise. She wasn't asking about more advice. Like, she wasn't seeking more advice. She was lost. She was asking who she could trust. And honestly, I hear some version of this every single week. People come up to me and, I don't know who to trust anymore. And ladies, I'm speaking to you today because I know a lot of you have spent years bouncing from one solution to the next. Trying keto, trying intermittent fasting, supplements, another program, another expert, another promise, another reel that is promising you that if you take this little packets of whatever probiotic is going to just save your gut bacteria and that's all you need, and all of a sudden you're going to just shrink the fat away, right? All these promises. And the reason why I say that to a lot of women is because we're marketed to differently than men are. And I know a lot of men that definitely getting sucked into a lot of the things that we've shared a lot here on this podcast. But it's women that are being basically marketed because we feel broken, right? And so we're trying another promise and you're exhausted, not just physically, you're mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. And maybe that's where you are today. Maybe you've tried the whole, I'm not eating carbs ever again, the keto people that tell you that they're poison. And you've heard the plant-based people say that meat is destroying your body. And maybe one trainer told you that cardio is everything, and another will say it's worthless. One doctor says your labs are fine, another one says you need medication. And somewhere in all that noise, you've lost your own voice. You've lost the ability to hear what God might be saying about your body and your health and your next step. And here's what I want you to know today. God has not forgotten about your health journey. He has not left you to figure this out alone. But he's also not going to compete with every voice demanding your attention. Sometimes we need to get quiet enough to hear him again. I once worked with a wonderful woman who had spent over 2 years and more than $8,000 trying to lose the same 30 pounds. She tried Weight Watchers, keto, intermittent fasting, juice cleanses, supplements, personal trainers, you name it. But the worst part wasn't the money. It wasn't even the weight. The worst part was that she stopped trusting herself completely. Every food choice required a Google search. Every workout came with a second guessing, and every decision felt overwhelming. And she told me something that really stood out to me. She said, I used to pray about everything, but I stopped praying about my health because I didn't think God cared. And, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I recently was at my senior youth group and we were worshiping and, I was praying healing over other people. And God kind of nudged me and reminded me that I've stopped praying for healing in my own body. I'm 2 years into a torn labrum in my hip, and I'm waiting for surgery. But I also know that he could heal that. And so I kind of thought about that as I was building this podcast episode today. You know, this woman says to me she stopped praying about her health because she thinks God doesn't care. I stopped praying because I'm like, well, this isn't just the healing that I'm going to get anymore. And so if that's you today, I need you to hear this. Your health is it's not a shallow thing to God. Your body is not an afterthought to him. Psalm 139 tells us we're fearfully and wonderfully made. God created your body on purpose. He cares about every part of your life, your faith, your family, your relationships, your health, all of it. So how do we hear God's voice about our health when everybody else seems louder? Because hearing words like, I don't know who to trust anymore is the enemy distracting us. It's there for a reason. And so I'm going to give you a couple ways that we can start to really hear God's voice as we make decisions in our health. Okay? Guys, number one, I really need you to think about getting quiet. Actually quiet. We got to turn off the podcast, like not this one right now. Keep listening to this one and then turn it off, but then come back after. I'm just playing. But honestly, I've done tons of research and I've listened to different podcasts. I like long form content, but I know that all the reels and all of the stuff that people are seeing on social media, it's a trap. It's meant to lure you in to buy stuff. I've had people try to get me to do stuff like that in my own content, and it just never felt really right for me. Posts will come into your feed to agitate you or to confuse you or to make you feel terrible. And if you want to really learn a little bit more about that, you should go back to the episode that I did with Kaylee Bennett. It was so well done, and she describes a lot of that stuff really well. So I highly recommend it. But we need to get quiet enough to actually hear from him. We've got to step away from the endless scrolling. God will speak to us in the stillness. When was the last time you asked him what he wanted for your health without immediately seeking someone else's opinion? Just take a moment and ask yourself, what is God prompting me to do right now? Not the influencer, not your friend or your neighbor, not the latest trend. What is God showing you? Okay, number two, we have to start paying attention to your body. God designed your body with signals and feedback. Pay attention. What foods leave you feeling energized? What foods leave you feeling sluggish? What types of movement make you feel stronger? What habits leave you feeling your best? Your body gives you valuable information every single day. Okay, number three, we're going to look for fruit. Jesus said we know a tree by its fruit. The same applies to health advice. Ask yourself, does this approach bring peace or anxiety? Does it help you love and serve others better? Does it improve your energy and mental clarity? Or does it create obsession and stress? Good fruit matters. And there are people out there that do a really good job at helping others get healthy. There are people out there, unfortunately, that don't care about every aspect of your wellness. And I know because I've been sucked into a lot of stuff myself, just trying to find answers. So I can totally understand if you're really like resonating with that message. We have to really make sure that anybody that's going to come into your life really truly cares about all aspects of you as a person, as a whole person, because we know God does. Number four, I want you guys to consider your season. What God is calling you to today might look different than what it did 5 years ago. A new mom has different demands than the empty nester. You know, a dad that's just got this new job that's also included commuting or on call or, you know, different schedules. God's going to call you to do something different in that season. Someone walking through grief has different needs than someone in a season of peace. So I want you guys to stop comparing your season to someone else's. Number five, we're going to seek guidance that aligns with your faith. Find people who point you back to God, people who care about your whole life, people who understand that lasting transformation happens from the inside out. I love the church that I go to because we have life groups, and now they're building this mentorship that is just absolutely incredible. And they have resources now for each aspect of the wellness journey. We know that there's strongholds, so we have to work on getting rid of those strongholds. We know that people struggle with their physical health, so we have to find good resources for them to have knowledge and like to understand what really matters when it comes to being physically well. We know that people struggle with mental health, so we need to have good people that we align with that are going to speak life into the situation and not just take you through self-love club. Okay? So let's talk about some of the barriers that keep people stuck. The first that I see is fear. Because maybe you've been burned before. Like this woman that shared with me that she is just run down and doesn't know who to trust. She's been burned before. She's spent money on programs that didn't work. And she's trusted people that let her down. So maybe you're afraid to hope again. And I understand that. It is totally understandable. But don't let past disappointments keep you from future healing. Okay? I know that's hard, but we have to really let go of those past disappointments, the people that just did not have good intentions, and be able to just free yourself from that so that you can walk into that next step of your journey and just, find somebody that really truly speaks to your heart. Okay. The second is lack of support. So some of you have incredible support at home. And honestly, I know a lot of you guys, you're carrying this journey by yourself. So maybe if you're not married and you still live at home with your family, maybe they don't understand. Your parents don't understand. Your sisters and brothers don't understand. Your cousins don't understand. Your friends at school don't understand. Maybe your spouse doesn't understand. Maybe they think that you should just figure it out on your own. I have had more women come back to me and say, oh, my husband just told me that I, should probably just be able to figure this out on my own. And honestly, that hurts my heart, but I get it. I hear people say that all the time. Maybe they don't see why this matters to you so much. And if that's you, I just want you to really understand that you're not alone. I've walked alongside many men and women and, single men and women who are facing that exact same challenge. The third often is overthinking. You know you need to do something. You know things need to change, but months turn into years because you're waiting for certainty. Fear disguises itself as endless thinking. At some point, we need to trust God enough to take a step. I want to share a few wins with you guys of some of the people that I've had of the privilege of coaching. One woman told me her biggest win was fitting into a pair of pants again. This is a big thing. Like we know that the clothes is starting to fit us better. Another one shared that she felt more confident and comfortable in her body than she had in years. I had another message from a woman who happens to be a grandmother, and she said that she would be watching her grandkids for 2 full days. And she also said that a year earlier, she would have dreaded it because of her low energy. And now she feels excited and capable. My friends, that is what health is really about. It's not just about weight loss. They know they want to feel better in their skin. And that's part of what we track. It's about having the energy to show up for the people God has entrusted you to instead of just solely focusing on the scale. So how do you know who to trust? First, do they point you back to God or make themselves the answer? Like I hear coaches say that they know everything, that they're the ones. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of coaches that have a lot of knowledge that are really good at what they do. And they really make it about the ego or they make the plan so aggressive that they don't understand that this is going to derail somebody and really send them into a negative space. So remember, ask yourself, do they point you back to God or make themselves the answer? Because no coach, no trainer, no doctor, no program should become your savior. Second, do they promise quick fixes or sustainable change? God's work is often slower than we would like, but it's deeper. Trust me. Sometimes I'm like, can we accelerate this healing for my hips so I can start training my legs the way I'd really like to train my legs? But he has challenged me in so many ways over the last 2 years. I have learned more. I've become more compassionate for injuries. Like I was always compassionate, but now I can understand things on such a different level. And I remember getting the news that it was torn, knowing I was going to have surgery. And I was like, God, use this for your glory. Use what I am going through right now to give me a chance to grow, to give me a chance to guide others, to help others to be able to see their needs before, they even know they need it. Third, do they address the whole person? Because your symptoms matter. Your goals, your plan, all of that stuff matters. But your sleep, your stress, the relationships, your mindset, your spiritual health, all those things matter a lot. And we have to make sure that we don't glance over those things. So are we just getting taught like, here, eat this food and move this much, but we're not learning about all the other aspects of what creates a whole body to be strong and powerful forever? Fourth, do they have fruit in their own life? Not perfection, not a six-pack. Fruit, peace, humility, integrity, love. Those things matter. So as we wrap up, I want you to remember something. God has not forgotten your prayers. He has not forgotten your desire for more energy, for strength, for confidence, for healing. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." The question is not whether God cares about your health. The question is whether you're willing to trust Him with the next step. Not the next 10 steps, just the next one. So what do we do from here? Just start with prayer. Ask God for wisdom. Ask Him for discernment. Like, who is the right person to come into my life to help me with this thing that I've been going through? Ask Him to reveal where maybe fear is keeping you stuck. Pay attention. Notice what gives you the energy. Notice what gives you the peace. Notice what helps you become the person God is calling you to be. And then remember, guys, all we do is we take one small step. Just one small step. That might look like having a difficult conversation. And you can ask for help. Whatever God is putting on your heart, take the next step. Don't hesitate. Sometimes we have to sit back and think and think and think. And that's just the enemy trying to get in your way. And you've got to overcome that. And we've got to push through. And I know the enemy's been trying to get to me in so many different ways right now. And I'm like, nope, not today. I've got Jesus and I'm going to keep walking with Him. So if today's episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Honestly, send me a message. Tell me what resonated. Maybe even tell me where you're stuck and I can see if I can give you any guidance at all. Or tell me what God's been showing you. I really do love hearing from you guys. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you that has been on this journey with me as I continue to build this content for you. I just continue to pray to God, give me the right words. Help this fall on the right, algorithm for the individual, that one person that might need to hear this message today. And so if that's you, I'll continue to pray for you. Your health journey does not have to be a source of shame. It can become an act of worship, and it can become one more way you honor the God who created you. Okay, my friends, thanks for listening today. Remember to keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.